Good afternoon and welcome to Tuesday Time Out Chapel. My name is Sean Bell and I'm the chaplain at Luther College at the University of Regina campus. It's becoming increasingly important to find ways to build resilience and internal capacity. The week of self-quarantine has become more than a month and the future remains unclear. All the normal ways of doing things are suspended and many of us are feeling pushed off balance. On the day of this interview, I was doing the interment of ashes at Regina Funeral Home, which is why I'm wearing the clergy collar. The experience taught me a few things. First, I don't get to wear my work clothes as much. I miss the symbols and the beauty of liturgical space and clothing. Second, outdoor columbariums are works of art. The flowers and statues are set up. It's quite lovely. And it's an amazingly supportive thing to do to add a bit of beauty to people coming to face death. And third, it's hard to social distance and restrict gatherings. Whole families and communities are used to the benefit of gathering, but only the most immediate family can be present. And even then, the normal actions of supporting one another cannot be taken as we keep distance at this time. So for today's chapel, I'm bringing you an interview with the Reverend Lindsey Skakum, who jumped at the opportunity to speak about creating beauty. They will tell us about how they create beauty in their own life and practice, and how that is important to them. I'm actually kind of doing an awkward interviewer thing as I go along. That's nothing professional here. And so, hello, everybody, and welcome. We're continuing on the whiteboard that you will never see our topics of spiritual practice, journaling, poetry, meditation, creating beauty, and delighting in nature. My name is Sean Bell. I'm the chaplain at Luther College at the University of Regina, and my pronouns are he, him, his. And I have a special guest, a friend of mine for over a decade now. How long has it been?
I think around then, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Well, Lindsey, introduce yourself, where you're from and all that.
I'm Pastor Lindsey Jorgensen-Skakum. I'm living in Edmonton right now and serving at Holy Spirit Lutheran Church. My pronouns are they, them, and theirs. I did grow up originally in southern Alberta, as did my wife. So we're imports to Edmonton, but we're loving our Edmonton life. We also have a tiny dog named Elliot.
Your dog's name is Elliot?
Yeah, it came, he's a rescue. He came with the name Elliot, so we stuck with it. There's no other Elliots at the dog park, so it's super easy.
My dog's name is Elliot. We named our dog Elliot. That's so funny. Okay, that's weird. Okay, that was a bunny hole. That's one of those things we talked about going that way. I have a question I've been trying to ask because I'm jealous of Krista Tippett and everything she does with all of her interviews. She's got a great question. My great question for you is, what would 18-year-old you think about who you are today?
Oh, 18-year-old me would probably be like, what? Because 18-year-old me thought I would be a high school biology teacher, coaching basketball on the side, and I still thought I was straight. So 18-year-old me would be like, wow, my life can be so much better. Let's speed up this process. But also, what church, huh?
So there's been a few changes since 18-year-old you then. That's
yeah.
Yes, yeah. Well, we were chatting before. You work in a church. Which church you at?
Holy Spirit Lutheran in Edmonton. So near Southgate, if you know Edmonton.
Okay, yes, yeah. Well, when I lived in Edmonton, there wasn't even an LRT yet all the way down that far. So there's so many changes. So I wanted to talk to you. The thing you kind of twigged in when I was asking people for interviews was the creating beauty portion. And I wanted to talk about a few of the practices you have. I have a quote here from the book that I have been reading, from Navigating the Coming Chaos, a handbook for inner transition. And the author writes, the decades of the 1950s and 60s were sometimes called the age of anxiety. And today we abide in the age of terror. Mead suggests that the antidote to terror is a sense of awe, and that when that sense is lost, terror increases. Poetry and art evoke awe, offering a balm of healing in a world that is likely to become far more terrifying than it now is. So she wrote that in 2009, sort of anticipating climate stuff, but here we are in a different place. And so I wonder if you could talk about creating beauty and how that works in you for your life.
Yeah, I think my wife, and as a millennial that kind of was a young child in the 80s, my wife often calls me a Care Bear. So I kind of gain my energy from the positive in the world. I'm pretty optimistic. And that hasn't really changed in some ways. I'm not overly optimistic. I'm not like, we're all fine. We don't need to do any of this self-isolation. No, I'm very for all the measures we're doing, aware that the world's in pain, but also I just have this natural almost proclivity to gravitate towards positivity, to gravitate towards growth, to new things, to things that help keep that energy up. I guess to encourage others and to encourage myself. So, I've always enjoyed music. I've always enjoyed art. I've always enjoyed poetry and human interaction. I'm an extrovert. So for me, a lot of these practices in the time when I can't be around people still allows me to connect with either my favorite artists or just these weird funky coloring books or albums that I've really appreciated that musicians have put out, that I can now have the time to learn on my guitar or experience in a new way. So for me, it was a pretty natural fit as I'm preaching and telling my people and my congregation to say, hey, self-care is really important, or like look after your feelings. Not to just bottle those things up myself, but to tend to them. So I wanted to do a little show and tell of some of my coloring, almost like
Yes.
I'm 5. So I have this I love kind of creepy things, weird things. So this coloring book looks pretty normal on the outside, but it's actually pretty intense and strange. Like there's these tattoo people.
Love it.
There's
I love
lots
it.
of strange animal scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And crazy creatures. The last one I just colored is this lady who seems like I'm not even quite sure what's going on in her life, but there's a Mexican Day of the Dead fiesta going on in her hair.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something that's completely outside of normal to me, but it just gives me a lot of joy to color these strange things. So every night I kind of pick one out. Whether my wife's working remotely or whether, we're both chilling out watching some Nailed It on Netflix, something that's light,
Mm-hmm.
I just start coloring and it just helps release my mind from whatever is, going through. I think we all have these moments where everything's fine and then suddenly something pings in oh no, what
Right,
do I do
right.
about this?
Well, apparently I was taking a course on anxiety in COVID times, and it spoke of how our minds can actually only focus on one thing at a time. So in your process of coloring, which is under the creating beauty section of this, in some ways you're not, well, you're forcing all the other thoughts to go over here because you're focusing on this. And so how long do you normally color for in a session? Is it?
Usually it's maybe an hour tops. It's not like I'm spending 5 hours a day
Yeah.
coloring. I'd run out of pages pretty quick, but it is kind of a nice little escape. I think we regularly had these moments of escape in our lives. It used to be social media, you just go on Facebook, see what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
But that, in our new world seems to be a little bit more of a traumatic thing. To go on Facebook and see what's happening in the world, how people are struggling. To me, Facebook feels more like work as of late. So I've been trying to limit my screen time, I guess, in that way.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Facebook was a place you used to go to for some light entertainment, but now it's not a place of beauty. It's a place of shocking report after report, right? So yeah.
Not that I don't think you can't spread beauty or I attempt to share those self-care memes, but I think it's become almost like that open raw nerve of people saying, this is the new normal. This is what's happening today. Some difficult stuff. Yeah.
Well, that's where the artist or the person who wrote my book that we have been speaking to too is saying is we can't rely on the external things to buoy us up in the way that it used to, like your career, your money, your future, your possibilities. In fact, you're going to have to deal with what's inside. I've got a quote from a poet from the book, the late Irish poet and philosopher John O'Donoghue. We may awaken to beauty through a renewed perception of the world as it is, beyond stereotypes and collective views, in nature, the arts, and in ordinary everyday moments. It may evoke a taste of the eternal, breed a generous desire to share with others, or stimulate its shadows, which is possessiveness. Beauty has a central place in the Kabbalistic tree of life and integrates the opposite forces of kindness and power. We will explore our own relationship with beauty in our lives and experientially find our personal ways to awaken its mysterious force in times of global crisis. So it's kind of a philosophical point of view, I think, about how the beauty remains in the chaos, right? You had another thing you were going to show us too.
I have these wonderful things. One of my colleagues got me called affirminators. There's this amazing rabbit riding a unicorn on a rainbow. And what affirminators say they are is, this is the description on the back. It's been proven that making positive statements out loud can radically improve your mood, relationship, and life experience. And we're not ones to argue with science. So we're giving it a shot. There's 40 cards with unique daily affirmations without all the self-helpsy self-seriousness, plus 10 bonus cards to boost you on your toughest days. So this is something I've used with my youth. I've even made some adults in my life who I love do it. There's, like I said, 40 cards and you kind of pull them out. So Sean, I thought I could do one for you today and I could pull one for me today.
Oh, there we go. Let's do it.
So I'm going to shuffle these up. I have a bunch here. So Sean, I'll do yours first. So your affirminator for today. And here's mine. There we go. Oh, this is great. You have this kind of dinosaur tank with peace and love on it. It says
Tankosaurus.
Tankosaurus, and your word is power. So it says, and you also have a little flower in your mouth. I don't know if you saw that, but I am strong. I am grounded. I am powerful. I am like a cross between a dinosaur and a tank, but not a tank that is used for war. I am like a peaceful, loving dino tank who feels so strong it doesn't need to be anything but be. So there you go. That is you today.
Yes, thank you. That's
yeah.
Going on the list of chaplaincy tools now too. I need to buy these affirminators.
And the one I pulled for myself is this like singing radio.
Yeah.
In a shower.
That's
gratitude. Today, I am grateful for all the little things, even when the big things suck. There are always plenty of little things I can at least be a little grateful for, like hot showers and music, and the fact that humans have invented an internet, and I'm allowed to use it whenever I want to, using fingers and thumbs that do whatever I think them to do at any given moment. So, gratitude. I don't know about taking your radio in a shower, but I get what it's saying.
Yeah. Well, that's a beautiful thing. So, yeah, I think there is something about not pushing away the bad, but just focusing on, well, the gratitude thing, I think, is a huge thing that people have gratitude journals all the time, finding ways to draw, doodle, write, be in that space of the affirming thing. Yeah. I'm definitely buying that deck of cards now. It's going to be a thing. Well, thank you so much for being a part of our chapel service, I guess, as we've kind of pivoted away from liturgical things into tools of what to do during this time to affirm ourselves. And I was wondering if there's last things you'd want to let people know as we go along here.
I think music is also another great thing that has helped me through this, and not like churchy music, surprisingly. I think because I'm a pastor, I often think of those things, or my work is in those things.
Right.
So actually a lot of it has been revisiting albums I've enjoyed in the past, but seeing them through a new lens. So if you haven't already checked out Sufjan Stevens, and if you're looking for an amazing kind of apocalyptic, thinking about death, dealing with your feelings album, Carrie and Lowell is most excellent. It's his journey he has kind of a broken family past. He's, I would say, on the Christian spectrum. And, it's just his thoughts about the death of his mom and losing that in his life, and his very real grief process. So it's an interesting album. It's very beautiful to listen to. And if you listen to the lyrics, then it gets a little sad, but it's a nice listen. Yeah.
And you are also a musician. So I was going to say, I wonder, did you have something to sing us out here then?
I do. So as a part of reliving some of my favorite moments, which I like to do through my music, I I have a fondness and a love for Elton John.
Yeah.
So I'll sing an Elton John song. Um, I don't think I've ever done this over Zoom before, so I will pull up that tab and we'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
I used to, my family had an Elton John tape when I was young, and my sister and I like wore it out in the basement wearing our roller skates, like doing accompaniment to the Elton John songs. And we both loved Leave On. So I'll give it a shot for you today. Can you hear that okay?
Yeah, I got that part.
Okay. I think we're good to go. Leave on wears his war wounds like a crown. He calls his child Jesus, 'cause he likes the name, and he sends him to the finest school in town. Leave on likes his money. He makes a lot, they say. Spends his days counting in a garage by the motorway. He was born a pauper to a pawn on a Christmas day when the New York Times said God is dead and the war's begun. Alan Dawson had a son today, and it shall believe on, and it shall be a good man, and it shall believe on in tradition with the family plan, and it shall believe on, and it shall be a good man. He shall believe on. Believe on sells cartoon balloons in town. His family business thrives. Jesus blows up balloons all day. Sits on the porch swing watching them fly. And Jesus, he wants to go to Venus, leave on far behind. Take a balloon and go sailing, while leave on slowly dies. He was born a pauper to a bone on a Christmas day when the New York Times said God is dead and the war's begun. Alan Dawson had a son today, and it shall believe on, and it shall be a good man, and it shall believe on in tradition with the family plan, and it shall believe on, and it shall be a good man. He shall believe
feel like I'm on like the NPR Tiny concert, and I wanted to like clap or sing along, but I know that there's like at least a 2-second delay on Zoom, and so
It's the unfortunate aspect of
yes, yes, yes. Well, you are positively glowing. We've created something of beauty here. I think. I think this conversation has been part of that. The energy, the affirmations, the reminder that we can embrace some of these really positive, beautiful, creative, wonderful things, even when all the things we really normally used to do are over here now, and we can't necessarily do them. But yeah, thank you so much. So. Yeah, anyone who is traveling in Edmonton, that's Holy Spirit Lutheran Church down by the South Center Mall down there. They're the
Southgate. Yeah, yeah.
South Gate Mall, sorry, the only Holy Spirit Lutheran Church. And yes, thank you so much for being a part of this. And I think this will go up a week from today. So just so you know where it is. And yeah, we'll be doing some creating beauty that day, and we'll see how it goes. So thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Sean.
Yeah, and then I use like magic, and it fades
Wow,
out.
video
And
editing.
scene.